Greetings. My name is Smoot. I'm Director of Marketing and Communications at HTI, and I also formerly taught history at Potomac State College in West Virginia. I'm speaking to you today from my home in Oldfields, West Virginia. To remember Juneteenth, I want to share the story of a remarkable man who died long before that great day of freedom, a man named Denmark Vesey. Denmark Vesey, he lived as a slave in Charleston, South Carolina until he purchased his freedom in the 1790s after winning a cash lottery. Never a man to dawdle, Mr. Vesey set to work with his talent and skill at carpentry. Now able to sell his skills in the free market, Mr. Vesey soon enjoyed a reputation that any man of business would envy. He was reliable. He produced superior work to his competitors, and he always delivered on time. Quickly, Mr. Vesey emerged as one of the most prosperous carpenters on the South Carolina coast. Now, not nearly satisfied with leading in business, Mr. Vesey also emerged as a leader in faith in his community. He established the second largest African Methodist Episcopal church in the United States after Mother Bethel AME in Philadelphia. Now, although South Carolina law considered Mr. Vesey emancipated, he was far from truly free. He could not openly enjoy his natural right to liberty. He could not utilize his right to pursue happiness without causing envy and dangerous suspicion. And as we will see, Denmark Vesey, he could not even have his right to life respected. Emancipated he was, but he still remained in the grip of the culture of slavery. The culture of slavery rested on lies people told themselves about men and women in bondage. It was argued that free society was too overwhelming to black men and women, and it was said that they would not be able to take care of themselves if freed, much less thrive. This was how a people who believed in freedom justified keeping others as slaves. This also made Mr. Vesey a dangerous man. The dissident Václav Havel, he said the greatest sin of his homeland, which was communist Czechoslovakia, was that it was illegal to live within your truth. Even emancipated, Mr. Vesey's life within his truth put him at fatal risk. His way of living within the truth exposed the lie of the laws and customs that govern slavery. Now, what happened next is debated by historians. Authorities accused Mr. Vesey of masterminding what, if they were truthful, would have been the largest slave rebellion seen in the United States. An insurgency of an almost unimaginable scope. Now, Mr. Vesey was charged, he was arrested, he was secretly tried, and then quickly executed. Now, some historians do believe that Mr. Vesey did as he was accused. Now, I've looked at this case myself. I've looked at the evidence myself as well as the context. And I agree with another school of historians who say that Mr. Vesey was actually a man framed by authorities. The scope of the charges were designed to create the kind of panic needed to justify the killing of such a prominent and also respected man. He showed that even a man once enslaved could rise to success. He could even rise to leadership in the community if given a chance in a free market and free society. But they could not accept that, and therefore they could not accept him. And therefore Mr. Vesey was murdered 43 years before the original Juneteenth. In a few ways, each of us is alike. We are all children of God. From God, we all received the gift of natural rights. Government and others may infringe upon these rights, but they belong to each and every one of us. Slavery was a sin because it denied these gifts from God merely on the basis of how God made his children. Vesey was deprived of life because he exercised his natural rights and God-given talents to the best of his ability and succeeded. In doing so, he showed that the professed basis of slavery was a lie. Juneteenth is not just a celebration of freedom, but a remembrance of Denmark Vesey and countless martyrs whose names are lost to history. It is recognition of all the aspirations and dreams crushed by a system that denied them God's gifts and subjected them to arbitrary treatment, barely restrained by either law or custom. June 19th, 1865 was a great step forward, but not the end of the journey. Another 100 years would pass before desegregation and the Civil Rights Acts. Social change was even slower. The path toward the dream of Martin Luther King Jr. was and is difficult. We still work towards a day when all people can look each other in the eye and regard each other on our own merits alone, and not through the filters of stereotypes or even hatred. This is why Juneteenth is a holiday for all of us. It remembers the past, it educates in the present, and it provides hope for the future. We must observe, honor, and celebrate it so that our republic can continue to work toward that more perfect union envisioned by our founding fathers. Thank you very much. It has been a privilege to speak on this, and have a wonderful day.